What's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to my best of worst of review for Daredevil Season 2. And if you're new to this channel, first off, thanks for watching. Second, no, really, thanks for watching. But seriously, this review is more so me telling you what I feel the best aspects of the show are, and what I feel the worst aspects of the show are. And with that said, I guess I'll jump right into it. As always, starting off with the positives, the best of. First thing I want to bring up is the fight choreography. Now, Daredevil is very well known for its excellent fight scenes from Season 1, however, I noticed that the fight scenes weren't consistent in the first season. For example, there would be fight scenes that looked like they belonged in an indie film. They were that masterfully choreographed, and they were that beautifully shot, and at the end of the day, they were just stunning. But then there'd be scenes that looked like they belonged on Arrow, and I'm not trying to knock on Arrow at all, but the difference between Arrow and Daredevil is that one of these things actually has the money to not look cheap. And there were definitely some moments in Daredevil Season 1 that looked really cheap. However, this season, there's a consistency to the quality in the action, and it looks great in my opinion. So that was something that was drastically improved, and I really appreciated that. Also, the hallway scene for this season is fucking brilliant, and in my opinion, they topped the hallway scene from the last season. The second thing that I want to mention is the Punisher. Now, before I say anything else about him, I want to say that while he's not my Punisher, he's a damn good one. For me, Jon Bernthal is to the Punisher what Christian Bale is to Batman. Not my desired interpretation, but I'll be damned if someone says that he's not an amazing one. And I'll get into my issues with this version of the Punisher a little later, but in the meantime, damn, he's awesome in this show. He steals every scene that he's in, and I'm not sure how awards are presented to Netflix shows and whatnot, but Jon Bernthal deserves something for his performance. I mean, everyone in the show does because all the actors, well, minus one, are giving it their all, but Bernthal especially. And whenever he's on screen talking about his family or discussing his point of view on justice and how it should be carried out, it gets an emotional response out of me. I mean, seriously, there is a scene where I cried. And I'm not joking, it's just that beautiful. Also, I love the idea of the MCU Punisher's origin and how it's tied to the legal system and the Justice Department, because I think it's a really interesting dichotomy having Frank lose his family to a legal system that broke the law in order to enforce justice, because that's exactly what Frank does. And to be quite honest, I don't think I used the word dichotomy correctly, but you get the idea. It's a fascinating concept, and I hope that the Solo Punisher series really follows that arc, because there's a lot of interesting philosophical material that you can mine from that idea. Also, I love the origin of the Punisher skull here. I don't know if I like it more than the origin for the skull in the Thomas Jane Punisher movie, but I know I like it just about as much, even though I like them both for different reasons. I also really like Elektra in this show. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I do not like Elektra in the comics. Granted, I've only read a handful of comics with her in it, but in all of them, she is just really bad. I can't stand her at all. But I think that's the point. If not, then she's just a really poor character. Uh, but that said, I really think she's cool here, and I really liked her characterization and her ultimate redemption, and I really want to see what they do with her moving forward, because that cliffhanger that we were left off with really got me invested in this character's future. Another thing that I really liked was the dissolution of Nelson and Murdoch. That's a classic comic book thing, and while I knew it was going to happen because it was set up in Season 1 and heavily foreshadowed in the events leading up to it this season, I really liked the execution of it all. And I really like how Foggy's going to be working for insufferable character number 4 from Jessica Jones. Speaking of which, while I'm not the biggest fan of the Jessica Jones show, I did appreciate the connective tissue that was established between this show and Jessica Jones. And yeah, I know, it's the MCU, it's all connected, blah blah blah, yeah, I know, thanks, duh. But still, I can't help but get excited for the possibility of Matt running into Jessica in the future. Also, in keeping with the topic of things being all connected, I like how there's ramifications for Claire's actions in this show because she decided to help Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. That was really cool. And finally, the Kingpin. Holy shit, was I the only person who wasn't expecting him to make an appearance? Because if so, fuck yeah. I was pleasantly surprised. Not only that, I was surprised at how long he stuck around and how integral to the story he was. But not only that, if you watch my review for Season 1, you know that I wasn't the biggest fan of the way he was written there, but here, what the fuck happened? He is a totally different character. He's more like the Kingpin from the comics, and I love that. Also, the confrontation between he and Frank was magic, and I really hope that he shows up in the Punisher Netflix series. Oh, and one more thing. I'm not sure if this is what that final scene with him was getting at, but I did find it interesting that it was alluded to that he may or may not know that Daredevil is Matt Murdock. So yeah, while those aren't necessarily all the things I loved about Season 2, those are definitely the highlights in my opinion. But now it's time to get into my negatives, so let's talk about the worst of. And starting this list off, I do not like how they killed Elektra in this show, because in the comics, Bullseye kills Elektra by stabbing her with her own sai, and while that's recreated here, it's with Nobu, and I don't hate it, but to me, having Nobu kill Elektra is like having Clayface paralyze Barbara Gordon, or having Carnage kill Gwen Stacy. Oh wait, that second one did happen. But you get the idea. I feel as though the death of Elektra is something that should have been reserved for Bullseye, but in the context of the show, it works. But personally, I'm just not feeling it. And the second thing that I want to mention is the Punisher. Now, as I said, this isn't my Punisher, because here I feel as though Frank is way too easily manipulated. It works within the context of the story they're telling, but I don't like it. I prefer the version of Frank Castle who was a brilliant military strategist, and that just was not depicted here. And the last thing that I want to mention is really just a nitpick, but Elektra's costume. I said it in my Daredevil Season 2 wishlist, and I'll say it here. It's kind of sad that Elodie Young looks more like Elektra in G.I. Joe Retaliation when she played Jinx than the actual character Elektra. Now, what they could be doing is that they're giving her a black suit now, so when they inevitably bring her back from the dead, she'll be wearing a red costume. That's my hope, but in the meantime, I'm a little disheartened that she didn't look more like Elektra. But yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts on Daredevil Season 2. Overall, way better than the last season, and that is saying a lot because the last season was fucking stellar. This is easily the best thing Marvel Studios has presented us with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in Daredevil Season 3. Anyways guys, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie, and as always, until next time, adios nachos.
It's in the air.